welcome everyone to the Saul Price Center for Social Innovation Social Innovator Seminar. And my name is Richard Parks. It's my pleasure to welcome you today on behalf of the Price Center and our Social Innovation Club and Fiona Cabana, who's here. So today I'm just very excited about this seminar. We have a tremendous panel for really amazing social entrepreneurs from 3 social enterprises. 2 of them are right here in our immediate neighborhood. One of them is very close by in North Long Beach. And all of them have launched social enterprises around something that's very vital to our everyday life, food, and the community that we share around a meal or a cup of coffee. And so I'm just delighted to have each of you here, so grateful that you would take out time to join us today, and really excited about our conversation. Let me start with some introductions. So on my right is Michael Martinez, and next to him, Becky Teter from 5,000 Pies. So Chef Mike is the executive chef, and Becky is the CEO of 5,000 Pies. This is a social enterprise of Fountain of Life Covenant Church in Long Beach. Chef Mike says, raised amidst the gang lifestyle in Santa Ana and trained at Cordon Bleu. Chef Mike envisions culinary training as a pathway to opportunity. Becky grew up in inner city neighborhoods in Los Angeles and has years of experience in urban ministry and community development. 5,000 Pies serves handcrafted Long Beach style deep dish pizza, which we are all enjoying. Long Beach style, I like that. And sweet pies, and they seek to transform the lives of young adults in West Long Beach through culinary employment and life skills coaching. Next to Becky is Andrew McDowell. He is the founder and CEO of With Love Market and Café, a social enterprise serving the residents of Southwest Los Angeles, just north of campus here. In the With Love Market, you will find a mix of local organic food and delicious drinks and organic coffees. It's freshly made sandwiches. It's really a beautiful space. With Love Market and Café also has a nonprofit arm called With Love Community Programs, and a portion of the profits from the market and the cafe are reinvested back into the community through the nonprofit arm. And then next to Andrew is Anar Joshi. She is the Vice President of Marketing for Every Table, a restaurant whose mission it is to make good food available to everyone. How many people have been to Every Table? Yeah, it's really great. I'm very impressed with it. So Every Table prices their meals according to the neighborhood they serve. Anar first gained extensive product marketing skills working with startups to build their online consumer experiences. She then began volunteering with Every Table back in 2015, and then decided to go full-time. So prior to this, Anar worked in advertising at BBDO worldwide in New York and PayPal up in the Bay Area. So please join me in welcoming our panelists. So we're going to start with a video of 5,000 Pies.
Hi, my name is Chef Mike, and welcome to 5,000 Pies.
One of the things that's really important to us at FOL is to see people develop in their gifts and become kingdom workers.
We didn't want to just be a church that was in the city, but we wanted to be a church that developed leaders.
So one of the things that we saw was that we needed jobs. We can teach people the Bible, but then there's difficulty hearing if you don't have a job.
We read the scripture, one of the key texts is work. Work was in the garden before sin entered the world. It's through work that our persons are formed. It's through work that we create. It's through our work that so much meaning is found in life. And I think that's one of the greatest challenges of poverty, is it strips people of wholeness that comes from a good day's work. If we want to really be powerful in the city, we have to give a better option.
We have people that need jobs and need to be trained. Could God be doing this? And that's when we gathered together, and that's when we started 5,000 Pies.
I'm blessed to be a part of 5,000 Pies, because and being part of this is a big blessing for me and a big opportunity, to strive for success and to show my kids, that anything's possible, and to show them a better life.
My family got food in the table. I'm not in the street, and giving other people opportunities to do the same.
We want to teach a whole new generation of young people in West Long Beach. Good trade. We want to teach them to cook. We want to teach them to run business. We want them to work, and we want them to learn all that God has for them as we try to make disciples in our city.
Social enterprises like 5,000 Pies are very unique and very special and very necessary in the model of community development.
What makes 5,000 Pies really unique is Chef.
Chef's an amazing teacher, and for him to have a venue where he can actually teach and train is really amazing.
Being able to cook for yourself, that speaks volumes for how that's going to impact you for the rest of your life.
I think as the training program takes off, you're going to have a whole new wave of chefs that create food that's going to be beautiful, and the food's going to be artistic and taste delicious.
I don't know if you've seen, but we got great reviews, and I'm kind of happy for that. We're bringing out quality of food. Some things that Mr. Chef makes blows my socks off. I'll be like, wow, Chef, I only see this at the Olive Garden or something, or I'm like, wow. And it's a beautiful thing that I'm there to automatically see it, to help them with it, prepare whatever it is, food for the church, for the people, comes out of that kitchen.
Working with Chef Mike has been good because, he has a passion. I see the passion he has, and he has a good attitude and good motivation, and, it makes me want to strive even more and just learn from him more.
He's a model for people of, wow, you can be a man of faith, and you can use your skills to bless people. He's really been a crucial part of what's happened here at 5,000 Pies.
I'm not just speaking for myself, I can speak probably for everybody. It's a beautiful place. There's jobs that, do I really want to go in? But this job is like, I want to be there early, 5,000 Pies is not a restaurant. It's a place of the Lord. And that's the way we look at it.
This is what we had hoped for, and this is where God has used something from our background to make 5,000 Pies come together. This is a great snapshot of what can happen.
Starting any kind of business is an audacious undertaking. Starting a social enterprise, even more so. And I wanted to just open, maybe Andrew, you could start, and then Anar, just share a little bit about kind of what compelled you to start a social enterprise. And in your answer, tell us a little bit about the market. Anar, tell us a little bit about Every Table.
So thank you guys for coming and being interested in this. This is not a topic that people have cared about for a long time. It's something new, but it's something that's been felt for a long time, and especially in our neighborhood. And so I've been in the neighborhood around here for about 10 years, been connected to the neighborhood for about 15 years. And I started realizing when I lived here that there were folks that came to me that wanted jobs, and I was in online advertising for 10 years. And I couldn't offer a lot of the folks jobs. Those that I could, I would bring them onto my team, and those that I couldn't, I would say, if I hear of something, I'll let you know. But there was never anything that you would hear of, really. Also started noticing that kids in our neighborhood were regularly, struggling with weight, diabetes, and when they got older, hypertension. And so all of these things just started becoming really apparent by being present here in the neighborhood. And being able to see the work that was happening in our neighborhood, I was able to see that there were a lot of great nonprofits, a lot of great churches doing things, a lot of great schools doing things, but there weren't really many folks doing things around healthy food access and job creation. So when looking at a social enterprise, the greatest challenge is to figure out what are the needs in a neighborhood and where does that meet the greatest opportunity so that you can have a sustainable impact. And so creating jobs and creating healthy food access were the needs that I was able to see. And then through a grocery store, a market, and cafe was the way to create opportunity to make it sustainable. So that's when we began the journey just over 4 years ago, after a couple years of sort of dreaming and visioning for it. And so that's sort of how we came about what we're doing.
Hi, I'm Anar. Thank you guys also for coming out for this. So Every Table was founded by Sam Polk and David Foster. And Sam and David both came from finance backgrounds, kind of traditional like investment banking, private equity, trading floors. And in 2013, Sam actually founded Grocery Ships, which is a nonprofit focused on food access and food education here in University Park. And what really drove him to find Grocery Ships was to, a lot of the same things that you're talking about here, like the instances of obesity and diabetes and how there really aren't any options or really support groups or places for people to talk about like how hard it is sometimes to like eat healthy because of a multitude of reasons. And so Grocery Ships is really focused on getting fresh produce into hands of families. It was like a 6-month scholarship program, and then you kind of graduated, and a lot of the moms and families that are part of that program have come back saying that, we are feeling a lot greater sense of pride and empowerment, and our families are healthier, and we know how to actually get there now. So that was all going really well, and it continues to do really well in the community today. Sam and David kind of looked at that market and realized that there was definitely an opportunity for a convenience side of this. So a lot of community, all of us, I think as well, people in general are just kind of time stressed and time starved. And so there's an opportunity for healthy fast food that truly is affordable for everyone. There's kind of an interesting thing in the food market right now when you look at, the Sweet Green or Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. They don't really exist in low-income communities. On the flip side, what there is a lot of fast food. And so they saw an opportunity to build a restaurant and build a community around that would be able to provide meals at affordable prices no matter where you live. And so that's kind of what the genesis of that was. And they looked at a lot of like traditional models of food and restaurant and figured out where can we really eliminate the cost and make this a super efficient model so that we can pass on those savings directly to the customers. So that's why we have a centralized commissary kitchen. We sell all of our meals in like large refrigerated cases. It's all grab and go, all freshly prepared, but convenience for the customer, and then also just the cost saving play on our side.
Great. So you were talking about the cost, and I'm curious, and I know a little bit of Andrew's story, but I'm eager to hear the other stories around the table here. It takes a lot of capital to start a business like this. And so how have you capitalized these enterprises?
Absolutely. Do you want me to start?
Please.
Yeah. So we definitely went the traditional, more, startup side of it. We raised a seed round with a lot of angel investors, as well as some institutional investors, like Tom's has a venture capital fund, pretty small, focused on social entrepreneurship though. So they're one of our backers. And then Lara Hippo out in New York, who traditionally does a lot more tech startup, early stage, they're also one of our investors. So we went kind of the VC funding route.
So we had zero experience in the VC funding arena. And
we want to talk to her after.
Exactly. There's a lot to learn there. We decided to get as many local people on board with our project as we could. And so we started hosting small meetings in my house in the neighborhood, bringing people to share about our idea, which eventually flowered into doing crowdfunding. And we did a crowdfunding campaign, raised over $100,000 in our crowdfunding campaign. And from there began to reach out to local investors and local stakeholders, anybody that saw the benefit of this and wanted to see it happen, to be able to put in $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of their own money become part owners. We currently have 13 different local owners of With Love Market and Cafe. Once we were able to gather the support through the local owners, then we were also able to go to banks, which we had initially been rejected by. And then they were able to see the impact and the desire from the local community. And they gave us a loan as well. So for a startup business to be able to get, a social enterprise to be able to get a traditional bank loan, there wasn't a precedence anywhere in the country. And so our banks, we have two banks that gave us our loan. They looked everywhere, and there wasn't anybody that they found that had received this type of loan. So we became essentially the first to receive a traditional bank loan for a social enterprise in the country that is around healthy food access. So with that sort of sealed our final bit of funding to start up the business, and now we're capping a third and final round of investment funding to be able to pay off all of the overages in starting the business, which always happens, but you never know how to fully prepare for. So we're finishing that up now.
Because we're a church that started it, everyone from the church, we have that as people were very generous from the beginning. We're also all addicted to Jaguar fries and different things like that from our restaurant. And then the second is supporters and people that were really excited, ministry partners, people that were excited to give to a project like this. And then finally would be just our regular sales from the, we started selling basically out of our kitchen, trying to sell pies and different things like that. And the last thing is miraculous provision. So we had a couple of situations where somebody was like, how's that pizza business going? I have one of our clients won the lottery, started a restaurant. It closed in 3 years. We have a storage room full of stuff. He just wants to give it away because, it's kind of a bothersome thing to them. So do you want to come and bring your U-Haul? So we said, okay, we'll bring our U-Haul. And we left literally with a huge U-Haul full of stuff. So that was our miraculous provision section.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting. Just obviously very different models here, but all kind of moving you forward in the process. I'm curious about, as you work to build a sustainable business, what challenges, what trade-offs, tensions are you experiencing with, the need to turn a profit and the need to the desire to fulfill your social mission? Can you speak to that?
Obviously, opening a restaurant, you're already going uphill against the wind. 9 out of 10 restaurants will shut the door after a year. So opening a restaurant, it's like, if you don't have the capital or you don't have the talent or you don't have the infrastructure, save your money, do something else. So opening a restaurant in West Long Beach, I don't know if you guys are familiar with West Long Beach, that type of restaurant that exists on Santa Fe in West Long Beach, it's really just God. It's really God just putting us there and using us. And so when you deal with employees that are not, your traditional cooks, we're not hiring cooks, we're not hiring chefs, we're hiring Anna and Orlinda from the ESL class, that's who we're hiring. So when you work with people that are not industry professionals, obviously there's to make a profit with that, it's difficult. So I think it's really just God pouring His love and His grace and hey, we need this business to be successful. So it's more about just the culture and the attitude there. No one's getting fired at 5,000 Pies. You mess up, we're gonna pray for you. So very different. When you work at 5,000 Pies, you're not really thinking you're gonna lose your job. It's you work for God, and so just getting that mentality. Hey, we need you to do a little bit more. So very difficult, me being the only true culinary professional in there, and God really just giving me a word hey, this is not your restaurant, it's my restaurant. You need to relax and not be Ramsey on everybody. But literally, I really had to turn a whole 360 and be okay, it's okay that it took you 200 pounds of flour to make that dough, So really, it's really God. Me, I come from a really kind of hardcore culinary background. My whole background is pretty hardcore, and so my edges were a little rough, and so God really just pouring into me and just changing my management style and now I can see like the growth. And my partner, her Becky, it really instilled in me when she told me that if we put out great pizza, which you guys all tasted, and great cookies, like we really failed. If we didn't transform lives, we didn't pour into people, like 5,000 pounds was a failure. And so for a chef to really embed that and that be my philosophy every day when I walk in and I'm getting attacked with all kinds of crazy stuff, like I really need to sit in that. So definitely, social enterprise it's not easy, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I would say there's a challenge with social enterprises to try to make everybody happy and to try to meet every social goal or innovative thing that people are bringing up. So we have people that walk into our store and say, I thought this place was all organic. And we're like, well, there are organic things, but not everything organic's affordable. And so we want to make our stuff affordable to everybody. So we're getting the best that we can for the price that we can do it. And you just have people that come in and they think that it should be a certain way, or they think you should operate a certain way. But it's a really big challenge to know what your true values, what your true mission, what your true constituency is, and to be able to focus on that and to be able to say, I'm sorry, we don't necessarily meet your expectations for some of these other things, but that's because we're putting the majority of our energy right now in these things. And we'd like to take that into consideration in the future, but at the moment we're not able to do that. And that was a challenge that I did not take on well at the beginning. I think we tried to do too much of that and to make everybody happy. We've had to refocus and be able to say, a little bit later, we'll be able to get to some of these things, but our most important is transformation in our neighborhood through creation of jobs, through providing healthy food access, through providing a community space that people can come in and take free classes and get food education and do yoga and do all of these kinds of things for free every day. That transformation of lives in our space is our real focus, and everything else sort of comes secondary to that. So that challenge is there every day. We lose people because we don't fit the mold that they want us to be in, but we also gain people when they actually fully understand what we're about and why we're about it. So the challenge then becomes communication of message and vision in somebody's 5 to 10 minute visit in our store, and it's really challenging. But it's also a great goal because social enterprises are about communicating that and allowing other people to join in the mission, because we'll never be able to do it on our own. We have to have partners as customers, partners as business people. Partnership is what makes social enterprises continue to go and to thrive and to be here long term, because it is harder than a regular business to care about your community just as much as you care about the bottom line.
I very much resonate with what both of you said. I mean, I think from an employment perspective, we're also hiring everyone from the neighborhood, both in our kitchen and in our store. And it is a lot of people's very first jobs, and especially like formal job training and doing things that we otherwise might think are super simple. It just takes a little bit longer. And so having the patience and like really focusing on the why we are here and how like collectively we can grow together. Similarly, we get asked like, is everything organic? Why isn't it organic? And we're like, well, I mean, we are trying to make it affordable, and we hope to offer everything organic one day, but right now we just don't have that ability. So there are always going to be naysayers and people poking holes in any good you're trying to do. I think like a third part of the challenge that I think we're facing, and I think we will face as we continue to grow and expand. I mean, our goal is to have 20 stores open in LA in the next year. And the way our model works is that's like 10 in underserved communities and 10 in higher income areas. And every single market, I think, is going to present a very distinct set of challenges. And especially in the underserved communities, I think that one of the things that is super important is gaining the trust of the community. This was our easiest and will be our easiest neighborhood because we've had a mainstay here with grocery ships. As we look at other neighborhoods and areas, I think coming in and really building up, as you said, like a partnership with the community and finding the right people to help be our advocates and help tell our story, I think is going to be really, really important and definitely a challenge as we try to come in as trying to help together versus this like savior-savvy model. We want to definitely stay away from that.
maybe along those lines, and we'll open up to questions in just a moment here. But it's very striking to me that all three of these enterprises are investing in low-income urban communities, and I know that three of you this is home, this is the neighborhood that you live in, so you're working, you're serving the community where you live, and I'm curious, what are the joys and the particular challenges that come from working in North Long Beach, West Long Beach, South LA? What are you experiencing?
Well, I'll start. We experience a lot of joys and challenges in being in this neighborhood. I live in this neighborhood. I'm getting married in a week and a half, and thank you. It's a crazy time of the year. Yeah, and we just moved 500 feet away from the store, and so I'm just trying to get away. And so I literally roll out of bed and then just walk right into work. But there's great joy in seeing the kids play next door and then being able to invite them over to our game night, and to be able to offer them some new experience of food, and to be able to see them get excited and then bring their parents back. We have currently 5 local schools within 2 walking blocks of our location, primary schools. And so we try to work with all of the parents and the kids in that neighborhood. And when we teach kids, when they come in, their class walks in, and they're able to go to our community garden and learn how a strawberry is grown, then we walk them over to the grocery side and they see how it's sold. Then we take them to our cooking class and teach them how to use it and make it into something fresh, and then they try it and they love it, and then they go and hand it out to everybody in the store and bring their parents back and tell them they got to learn how to make this thing. Like, there's now this connection that's been made that's going to transform these kids' lives. So kids in our neighborhood don't have to grow up now saying, what is that fruit, or how do you get that, or think that something's only found in a grocery store, but it's not grown from the ground, and they can do it. So there's great joy in that. There's also, it's really challenging to know that folks come in from your neighborhood who say, this didn't taste the way that I wanted it to, and then they give us a horrible Yelp review because of this, and that person, and they live down the street from you, and you're like, you want to be able to care for them and be friends with them, but at the same time, it's really hard because they just sort of trashed your business and everything you put your life into. So you have this extreme of you love to see the impact in your neighbors, but also it's if they don't like what they experienced, that's how they're going to experience you too. And so there's this, being so close and being so neighborly with folks is difficult, but there's also greater opportunity than you're going to get just being a business that doesn't interact with the folks who are around you. So it's challenging, but it's also extremely life-giving.
I think LA is a really interesting city because you can there's no great equalizer. There's starting to be a great equalizer like public transportation has in New York, right? So if you're in New York and no matter where you live, everyone takes a subway. So you see people from all walks of life. Here we're in our cars, and so if you want to drive from Santa Monica to downtown, you don't have to see anything in between or the people in between. And so I think there's this really big challenge when you look at Angelenos in general and talk about hey, there's really deep issues right here in our backyard. Let's all try to fix them. They're what? There's food deserts right over there? That's crazy. I didn't know that. And so there's a huge opportunity for education. And I think that's another interesting opportunity to unlock, and we're hoping to through some of our work, because people are very disjointed, and I think there's an opportunity to really build empathy and bridges between various communities. So there's pros and cons with that, obviously.
We've had Yelp reviews where people just say, "Oh, I didn't even stop. I drove by. What kind of a whole, street are they on?" So we get that from outsiders, but from the community, it's such a feeling of pride. People are so excited that our restaurant is there. We get a lot of love. If you were wearing your shirt, people are like, "Hey!" Our delivery car was driving. We have the stickers on, and so they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's 5,000 Pies car," and they were taking pictures. So there's a lot of pride in that. And then I think for us, 5,000 Pies is really a family because everyone who works there, we live down the street from each other. Everyone is a part, our church is in West Long Beach, and we're all, everyone on the team lives in West Long Beach. So we drive each other around, we go to birthday parties together, we do life together, and it's something that's really such a joy, something that I didn't even realize would be a benefit of the restaurant. It's such a joy. And Chef cooked ribs for my nephew's 18th birthday party. You're like, who gets that? So it's a really amazing gift to be.
Yeah, I don't think we chose our location in West Long Beach. We were looking at Bixby Knolls area, and like God literally put us on the west side. She's like seen it. She's like, hey, there's this spot. Let's go look. And this is like the very beginning of 5,000 Pies. Just kind of like just an idea, and all the meetings and all kinds of crazy stuff. And we're like, okay, let's go look at it. And honestly, as soon as I got out of the car, I knew automatically this was going to be it. Without even looking at it, I just knew that this is the neighborhood that this restaurant needed to be in. And if you look at the neighborhood, you guys familiar with Cabrillo High School? So yeah, not a lot going on. There's a lot of industrial, kind of like towards the end of the strip, like PCH going into the port. So not a lot going on there. Like during the weekend, it's totally dead. So especially in the summertime, the neighborhood is dead because the school is down, right? So, our visitors come, they look at the sign, and they look around, and they're like, oh, I guess this is the place. It's really one of those spots, like it's kind of out of place, but a blessing just to be there and being a beacon there on the west side, being a light there. I get to, I live 5 minutes down there. Like, it's a really beautiful thing when you live and work really close. But other than that, the people that are in the neighborhood, you work with those people. Like when I'm at the stop sign and I see, one of my employees at the corner, is like, that you're impacting their life. They can feed their family. They have a job. We have employees that have never worked in their life because their culture, their husband were the breadwinners. And so now that they're a little bit older, where their husbands can't really make it anymore, they're forced to come out. And so those people like that, they work for us, and we can see them on the bus. We can see them in the neighborhood. And in a small way, we are impacting their lives. And so it's a beautiful thing.
That's beautiful. Thanks. Let's open up for questions. Yes, Luis.
Thank you for these amazing stories. I wanted to ask you, as social enterprises, in addition to obviously staying in business, you have different purposes as you have defined them at the neighborhood scale or at other scales. But at the same time, you're also competing in a marketplace that might not be defined in the same way. So I wanted to ask you how you manage this tension with your competition that might be catering to the same people with very different ideas or different things. So how do you manage that?
Well, I'll try to answer that. It's a challenge. The goal is that we're able to communicate the message that investing in your community is important enough that you will consider us over competition like entities, or that you will give us the benefit of the doubt when we don't meet one of your expectations as another business could. We're not going to be able to pump out drinks like Starbucks can in terms of the speed, but we try to focus on quality and experience and having an engagement with every person that comes by and orders a cup of coffee or gets a juice. So we offer something unique, and we hope that people judge us more holistically rather than just the one extremely narrow consumer-based experience, which we also hope to excel at. But we do believe that if we're able to offer a greater experience for folks, then we're able to put ourselves in a different category, in a category that says the community's valuable, you're valuable, and by supporting us, you're supporting that mission, that message. And so that's really our goal. There's a new cafe opened up just down the street from us. There's never really been cafes on Vermont, and now it's starting to pop up, and they just opened up right down the street from us. And they could be seen as our competition in a lot of ways. They offer a lot of the same things we offer. I went and had breakfast there the other day, and they serve food, and it's really good. Our coffee's better, but their food's better. I mean, that's the reality of it is, but they're a great addition to our community, and I want more small business people to invest in our community. I don't want there to be competition with local businesses. Like, we can all thrive and rise together. And if we're not trying to put each other out of business, we can help each other succeed. And that's the mindset of the social enterprise, and that's the mindset of community-based businesses. And that's really what we want people to really jump onto.
We actually looked at the market, and one of our partners, there was 4 of us that started. She thought that deep dish would be a good idea because she's from Chicago, and there was nothing really in Long Beach that she felt was a viable deep dish. So that's kind of where our starting point was. We said, and Chef was willing, if it was just another pizza shop, we probably wouldn't have done that, but it was deep dish, and that made it a little bit more like, okay, that could be a viable thing. And the reason we thought maybe we should do it in a wealthier neighborhood was because there's more disposable income in a neighborhood like that. Somebody from our neighborhood might look at that price point and be like, $20 for a pizza? Shoot, that's too much. You know, when you could get Papa John's for like $5.
A Little Caesars for $5.
Little Caesars for $5, yeah. So we looked at the market in that, and then we also, our pastry chef, Sarah, we didn't realize how talented she was. Like, we knew she just won a pie award, but literally every recipe she's made has been amazing. And so I think that's been something that's really different for us, is that we actually have products that, like, we'll get 5-star reviews from Yelp. Well, people will really say, this is the best, you know, whatever pie I've tasted, or I love this product. So it kind of stands, I think we placed in a pizza competition in our local neighborhood where they brought all these pizza places from Long Beach, and we placed. And it wasn't just because, oh, they're doing some good for their community. It was like, this is really good. You know, people kept on coming back for more. So that's something that the products, I think, have a level of excellence to them that people are excited about.
Yeah, when you're not a profit business, you're not, you know, we don't cut any steps. We use real butter. Like, we have our pastry girls are on there at 4 in the morning. They're really scooping out those cookies by hand. We don't use anything. We did it all from scratch. And obviously that comes through in the food. And so we're not like pushing our food on anybody. The product speaks for itself. So yeah, I think obviously opening a pizza shop, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of competition in every corner. So us being unique with deep dish, and obviously being a pizza spot that sells dessert, you know, we're doing okay.
Yes.
If we're going the VC funding route, are there expectations of the growth in the next 5 years or in that range?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it depends obviously on the expectations from each VC. There are some that are more like, you know, like the Tom's Fund, for example, is definitely more about solving like a social good problem and what that looks like, and their metrics for success are slightly different than like a traditional VC. I think that the core thing is obviously seeing growth and profitability. For us, we're right now very much an unproven model, given that we only have one restaurant, and the way that our model works is with this like sister model of a low income store and a high income store. So to answer your question shortly, yes, like I think that they definitely do have specific metrics and things in mind in order for us to be a bet worth taking. But a lot of it depends on the fund itself. So Lara Hippo, actually one of the partners, our main partner there, recently just wrote an article about the investment and why they decided to invest in Every Table, because it's not, like I said, one that they generally would do. There isn't a very strong tech component to it, but they believed in the mission and they believe in what we're doing and how we're solving it, and that inevitably, like anything else, there's going to be some tech data piece of it in order for us to like propel it. So yeah, I think there's definitely a different set of metrics, but overall, I mean, a lot of things are the same in order for us to show success.
So love what you guys are all doing, and like that it's all a little bit different. But I was wondering, how do you evaluate or measure the impact that you're doing on the communities, and then is it a scalable model, and then kind of what will success look like for you in the next year, or like, and building off your last question, in the next 5 years?
Well, I guess for us, obviously we're Christians, and like our goal is like to save lives. We're doing missionary. We want disciples. We want to see our youth grow. We want to see them impact the community. So even in my own personal growth, when I started with 5,000 Pies, I've seen a lot more just, I feel like the way we gauge our success is when there's very small, subtle things, you know, they're not, when I can see one of my employees, like their standards are a little bit higher, or it's an integrity thing, or it's just something that, so we're molding disciples and we're molding, you know, good people. We're not, you know, like I said earlier, I mean, if we made the best pizza and the best cookies, that's not our mission. So I think our mission is a little bit different with just, because we're doing missionary work. And so me coming in and having this idea about growing chefs, and obviously I want to do that. I want to grow. We have a lot of youth that work for us now, so like the youth is the future of 5,000 Pies. The youth is the future of our church, and so our mission is like we need to pour into our youth and show them by example. Like, hey, we're killing it here on the West Side. We're not here because we're getting rich. We're here because we really care about the people that are here, and we really care about the employees at 5,000 Pies.
And a lot of the schools, so we just get asked a lot to provide certificates and a lot of different things to support the local schools. We have several schools down the Santa Fe corridor, so we give to, you know, all the student of the month, you know, teachers, you name it.
City Hall, like they'll see me, hey, Chef Mike, like they know me, like they know 5,000 Pies, they know that we're a light in the city, and we're there not because we want to get rich, we're there because we really love the community, and we're gauging our success on the youth and the community.
And then the hope down the line too is that we are in discussions with different people about some sort of, similar to what Anar was saying, is we have to figure out the sustainable model that could be passed on, because we have a lot of different, there's other churches and other ministry partners that would like to start something like 5,000 Pies. So once, probably in the next year or so, we're looking at some of those conversations, that would be very successful for us if we could duplicate that.
Our mission is really focused on making good food available to everyone and at an affordable price. So I think like the lofty metric of success is eradicating food deserts, honestly. We want to have an every table in every community everywhere, so that everyone has access to healthy, fresh food. So definitely lofty goals. What that means, I think, as I mentioned earlier, is 20 stores for us in the next year. And we are focusing on LA first. We want to really prove out the model and do it at home before we go anywhere else. And then we'll see what makes sense from there. But, you know, national expansion is definitely something that we would like to see.
And we're focused on creating a sustainable business so that it can be replicated. It doesn't necessarily have to be replicated by us, but because we have received a traditional bank loan, by proving that we can be solvent, we prove to banks that investing in social enterprises can be something they can get their money back from. So there's a big goal in that. We'd also like to be able to have a replicable model, prove it out here in LA in a couple different places, and then allow other cities, whether that be city government or nonprofits or churches in other cities that want to do similar things, creating jobs and healthy food access, to be able to help pass on the model to them. I think LA is big enough and the challenge is great enough that we can spend a lot of time and a lot of energy here and allow other people to take what we've learned and to try to do that in their own city. So we really want to be able to build something for being able to pass on the knowledge and create opportunities for folks to do things. People all across the country have been asking how to do this type of thing. And as you're talking about, other churches want to do these things. We've got groups all over that are following us, from Nashville to the Bay Area to Dallas, Fort Worth, that want to do something like this, but there isn't a model yet. And so if one of the three of us can find a model that works, we will transform urban poor neighborhoods and food access across the country. Maybe all three of us could do that. I mean, that's the goal, right? We're all trying to do that.
We're going to get a little healthier.
Exactly.
A little healthier.
Well, you know. So I mean, that's the type of thing that we're going for. That's the big thing that we're throwing against the wall, is the health of neighborhoods And if we can do something and you guys can be a part of helping us succeed, then you will be a part of transforming neighborhoods. And as a social enterprise, it doesn't get much better than that.
I was wondering if you've, through your social enterprises, have engaged with any like local policymakers, and if you see their involvement as taking a step towards achieving a part of your mission, or how they could maybe help achieve your mission.
Yeah, I just actually got back from City Hall. Right before this, we, with love, accepted the Good Food Champion Award for our council district for 2016. So that was, a great honor to receive that. We've got like a whole wall now of awards from City Hall and from council districts. They keep bringing them to us, which is great. We don't ask for any of them or apply for any of them, but they're seeing good things happening and they're wanting to be a part of that. And what that does is it gives us a connection in our council district, gives us a connection in City Hall to be able to say, hey, this is a real hurdle and we could really use some help in figuring out how to address this. And usually they help. So our voices being heard when you know the right person to talk to. And so that's a challenge for a lot of groups. Thankfully, they've been very forward with offering opportunity. Healthy food access is the new thing here in LA, is really hot right now, and a lot of money and a lot of resources are being put behind it. Not necessarily money that can be tangibly felt by us all the time, but they are putting people on it, which could positively impact us. So I say it is critical, though it is not essential, because their businesses have thrived for a long time without that. But it does create a greater opportunity for success when you do involve all the powers that be.
We also have been getting different awards. So the Innovations Award from Senator Ricardo Laras, we just won that last week, and then the Mayor's Award last month. So we do have different growing relationships with the district and the different officials. I would say that as a church, though, that's where a lot of our community development and we have different people from our church that actually have very significant roles in that, and so we're able to do different things that we wouldn't be able to do without knowing people. Like we had a problem with our park, and for literally 6 months, one of the slides was broken. And for other neighborhoods, I know that that's not acceptable, but for us, our neighborhoods, people just that happens, and people don't try to change something. So we were able to make some changes through those relationships and through making calls. So having that the 5,000 Pies restaurant furthers that, and we'll probably see in the years to come what that positive relationship will look like for our neighborhood.
Yeah, I think these social enterprises, they've taken on their own identity and they become their own thing, and it's bigger than any of us, and I think when you start to network with other people that are on that same page, you can see the interest, and you can see people really want to help out. Like when I'm just anywhere, I'm just networking with people, and they know about me and they know about 5,000 Pies, and they kind of off to the side, oh, we can help you, or we can do this, kind of off to the side. And so yeah, it's definitely really important, obviously, to know certain people, and we've been, obviously this being God's restaurant, a lot of favors been poured on us, just with health department stuff, all kinds of crazy stuff, just all the red tape that it takes to get a business going up. Having those relationships and just knowing people that are on the same page with you, they're interested in social enterprise, they want to help. And just putting yourself out there and being a little bit vulnerable and transparent, hey, this is what we need and this is what we can do together. And surprisingly, there's people that just really want to help out.
It's important to have those connections and those conversations. I think it also just helps, there's a lot of different elements of the business that we definitely are really passionate about. So we hosted an event for Innovate LA at the store that was focused on civic innovation and how to really bring innovation for everyone and make it work for everyone versus just Silicon Beach, for example. And it was a really great conversation just around how, and we'd invited people from the city, and we also had other organizations that we work with all sit at the table together and talk about what are some of the challenges you're facing, and have a really honest conversation about that. And I think that we want to play, we feel like we have an opportunity to play a part in a lot of the different things that are happening in the city right now. I think there's a lot of excitement around health access. There's also a lot of excitement like homelessness and various employment and a lot of other areas. And so as much as we can work together to solve these problems, I think that there's a lot more opportunity. Too many times we're all kind of like competing against each other or too siloed to like have a systemic a solution to a problem that we all know exists in our own little ways. So working, I think, with the city and policymakers and organizations is critical to, I think, our collective success.
And I'd say also opening your doors up to council people or to local lawmakers and letting them see what you're doing is a really important thing, because sometimes that exposure will transform their thinking and their voting and the things that they'll bring up. So just that exposure alone, when there's an open door and a welcome, will help them make better decisions with knowledge.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a perhaps slightly boring question, a technical question, but starting a social enterprise, you have to decide how you're going to incorporate yourself, both in terms of your ability then to access capital and also your ability to serve your social mission. I don't know if it was an easy choice for each one of you. Maybe, I don't want to make any assumptions that it was, but tell us how you got to that point of deciding. Are you organized as like separate entities? Some of ones in a church, is it a separate entity? How does that all work? Because I know there's many students in here thinking about this career path.
So I can start. We decided to not be, so Grocery Ships exists. We're completely separate from Grocery Ships. Grocery Ships is a nonprofit. We are not. We are a certified B Corp. And the rationale for that was that we did want to show that the for-profit model can work and can do good. We have a lot of conversations internally right now as we're thinking about, what our values are and as we're laying the foundation for the type of business that we want to be. We do think that we're trying to make our decisions rooted in doing the right thing, and doing the right thing is not always the most profitable thing. It's not always the thing that seems like the sexiest or coolest thing, but it's really what we believe that is going to set us up for being able to meet our mission and our goal. And that's kind of why we decided to do it the way that we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. So our business is an S Corp. We have filed to be a B Corporation, but B Corporation doesn't have any real modification to the tax code. So it falls back on your previous designation, which for us, being owned by 13 different people, S Corp was the most beneficial type of corporation for us to be. So we operate our business on the for-profit S Corporation model. That allows all the owners basically to take it in a personal tax sort of way, as opposed to a corporate tax type of way. So having a lot of owners, that's beneficial. We also have a nonprofit side, which is under the wing of an existing nonprofit. We are an entity through them, and they manage all of the nonprofit filings and all of that stuff. And we are a partner of theirs, and they're an international community development organization called Compassion Creates Change. And so they took us under their wing so that we can operate as a social enterprise needs to, being able to apply for grants and receive money and give tax breaks and write-offs and those kinds of things to fully operate in a community-based capacity that a for-profit and a B Corporation or an S Corporation does not allow you to in the way that you need to. So we are actually both. They are legally independent, yet we operate hand in hand every day, work together and support each other in use of space and in provision of resources.
We filed separately as a C corporation, so we're not owned. We're owned by the church, but we're not, so that the church doesn't lose its nonprofit status. Mm-hmm. So there's some discussion on that, just in terms of, now that we're 2 years in, there's a little clear about what we need to ask employees to commit to. So there's some things that may be up for discussion about whether the nonprofit is important in terms of that, but currently we're a C corporation.
Okay, I know there were a couple other questions, but we are out of time. So I just want to end by encouraging you that if you're in the neighborhood, stop by and see every table, or go up Vermont Avenue to With Love Market and Cafe. If you are in North Long Beach, stop by 5,000 Pies and join me in giving these four, just a really warm round of applause.